All right, let's jump into this. I don't know what my team made some slides. Let me see, click. Perfect. All right, this is the model I have for doing the impossible. And it's a three-prong approach to creating momentum in your life in 2024. We have a new book coming out on Tuesday. It's an expanded version on the original book. And it's all about the science of momentum, the art and science of escaping that. You know where Aubrey is talking about the escape velocity for longevity? I think there's also an escape velocity for our minds, overcoming the kind of the mental barriers that hold us back from remembering things, from having better attention, entering flow states, learning faster, and also much more. Now, when it comes to accelerated learning, because I know this group is very sophisticated. There are four primary brain states, and maybe you could take some notes. There's beta when you're most awake, delta when you're asleep, and learning happens through all these states, right? You can do sleep learning, lucid dreaming, right? A lot of incredible inventions actually came from dream states. I don't know if you knew, like Paul McCartney created the song Yesterday in his dream. A chemist created the periodic table in his dream. Elias Howe, a famed inventor, created things like the sewing machine in his dream. Mary Shelley created Frankenstein in her dream. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, that supposes you have good sleep, right? So we could talk about sleep optimization. But beta is when you're most awake. Hopefully you're in beta right now, or who knows what altered state you're currently in. But then there's below that is alpha and theta. So theta state, the state in and out of sleep, that's a state of creativity. How many of you would like to be more creative, right? And Einstein used to sit in Princeton on a rocking chair holding a rock specifically to go into those theta states to do his thought experiments, where he would imagine himself sitting on a beam of light, going towards a clock and asking himself, like, what would that look like from that point of view, right? And it's interesting because that theta state, one of the things that puts you in this theta state to being creative actually is water. How many of you ever, when you're taking a shower, you come up with all these ideas and insights because it puts you in that theta state? I took 6 showers for you guys this morning, right? so I could really just over deliver and serve for you. The alpha state is a state of relaxed awareness. So it goes beta, alpha, theta, delta. Alpha state is where you can accelerate learning. You know what puts you in that state? Breathing. Conscious breathing will put you in an alpha state. And if you did that conscious breathing, whatever it happens to be, alpha breathing, box breathing, you're actually, when you're studying or if you're listening to something, you'll go into that alpha state. And alpha state is where your conscious mind is set aside and you just absorb information. How many of you have been in this state, where you're just like, it's just kind of flowing through you, right? Another thing besides breathing that puts you in alpha state is visualization. So when you do imagery work and you go inside, it'll put you into an alpha state. That's why a lot of our techniques and our programs are geared towards imagination, right? They say imagination is more powerful than what? Than knowledge, right? Einstein said that. Because knowledge is what is, imagination is what can be, right? What could be. And so it's interesting to get into an alpha state. It's breathing, which is kinesthetic, it's visual, right? Visualization, and also the auditory part, if you're going to use all three learning systems, music, right? How many of you ever taken a sound bath and it puts you in a state, right? Or they've done studies in Russia where they have subjects learn languages rapidly, and what they'll do is they'll put the language, the words, the vocabulary to classical music, specifically Baroque classical music. Because Baroque, like Vivaldi, Handel, it's 60 beats per minute, and it harmonizes with your resting heart rate, which puts you into an alpha state. So just remember this. All learning is state dependent. All learning is state dependent. And so you could change your brainwave states to be able to either be more creative, pull information out of you, like output, and you could also change your state into like things like alpha to more easily take in information. By the way, like meditation puts you in alpha state because often you're listening to sound bowls or soft nature music. So that's the sound part. You're doing conscious breathing. Often when you're meditating, you're visualizing, right? Even hypnotherapy will put you in, remember like where it puts you in an altered state and you're extremely suggestible to the therapist? Because remember, in alpha state, you're just taking information unfiltered. Your conscious mind, the critic, is set aside, and you just like maybe you would accept more that belief that you are this person or you can do this. And so understanding your brain is the nature of our work at Kwik Brain. How many of you listen to podcasts? So we have like 400 episodes. You can just search my name, Kwik, Kwik, in your podcast app. And the benefit of doing that, it's one of the most binge listened shows on like Spotify because it's only 20 minutes and there's no sponsors, right? So you could just listen to it. We have episodes on how to learn languages rapidly, how to read faster, how to remember names and faces, and so much more. 95% of what we publish as a team is completely free, right? If you're on our YouTube, one of our 1.3 million, every single day we just put content to help level up your learning and level up your life. The book, if you support it, also comes out mentioned on Tuesday, so you'll get it next week. We're donating all the proceeds to charity. And so with the last book, we built schools. We sold over 1 million copies. We built schools in Ghana, Guatemala, Kenya, also Alzheimer's research in memory of my grandmother who I lost when I was 7. Has anyone know a family member that has brain aging challenges? Okay, so dementia, specifically for women. Women are twice as likely to experience dementia than men. Yet most of the research is done on male brains and treatments done on male brains, which is interesting. I'm going to give you this gift. This is something brand new that I haven't trained about before. So how many of you are familiar with like personalized health and wellness, like personalized medicine based on your genetics, personalized nutrition based on your microbiome? So not everything is for everybody, right? Everyone's a little bit different and bio-individual. I realized also that learning can be personalized also based on your brain type. So what I'm going to share with you is something, some new content in this book. I drew on this assessment, so I use this with coaching clients for quite some time. This is the first time we've made it available for the public. You could get this quiz, it's free, it only takes 4 minutes, and it'll give you your personalized learning track based on your brain animal. So you could just, you get out of the way. So this is the quiz. Don't take it now, but what I would recommend, text this link to your family, to your team, to someone you wish was here. They could go through it and they'll send you back what animal they are, okay? So I believe that there are 4 brain types. I make them animals, so it's kind of like, you ever take a quiz like, I don't know, like what Game of Thrones character are you or something like that? It's kind of fun like that, but when you go through it in 4 minutes, you'll know your brain type, and it'll allow you to lead better, to influence, to sell better, to hire better, to manage better. It'll also give you advice based on your animal brain, how to read faster. How many of you have books on your shelf you haven't read yet? Raise your hand. And it becomes shelf help, not self-help. It'll teach you also how to remember names based on your brain type, if that makes sense, all right? So let's go through some of the brain types right now. Just trying to back up. All right, so we have these 4 animals. We created this with AI, obviously. So remember your code, C-O-D-E. And you can write these down, or you'll probably remember it the way I describe it. Each letter stands for one of these animals, okay? And when I go through it, guess your animal. And also think about the brain animals of your friends and family members. So the C is the cheetah. And the cheetah Their primary trait is they act. So if you're a cheetah, cheetahs thrive in fast-paced environments. They adapt incredibly quickly. They have very strong intuition, all right? But they go through, just think about the cheetahs, just acts incredibly fast, right? Implements, learns something, puts it into action. The O in code are your owls. And your owls, the dominant trait, if the cheetah is action, the dominant trait for owls, logic. All right, these are individuals who love to study, they love to do their research, they love data, facts, figures, formulas. And so just notice, a cheetah and an owl would act differently, right? They would also read differently, remember differently. They would also buy differently or invest differently. It's very interesting to see if you want to persuade somebody else what animal type they are, because often we communicate in our animal type. But often when if we're a cheetah communicating and the receiver, maybe that person you want to buy your product or go on a date, whatever it is, they have a different brain animal. It's like two ships in the night. Have you ever been normally interested in somebody, but you're just not connecting? So it's kind of like two people not connecting. They don't even notice the other ships there because they're speaking a different language, if that makes sense. The D are your dolphins. And your dolphins, the dominant trait is they are incredibly creative. These are your creative visionaries. They use their imagination. They have very strong pattern recognition. Does that make sense? So some of these people, if you're a dolphin, maybe you see something that others don't see yet, right? Maybe you're an entrepreneur or you're a designer, maybe. And then finally, the fourth brain animal are your elephants. And your elephants, the defining trait is high empathy, high levels of compassion. They are the ones that really hold the tribe together. They are community builders. They are also, they work really well in teams. They have high levels of compassion and interpersonal skills. So notice these four animals, they would read differently, as I mentioned. Cheetahs go through and they just kind of skim and scan because they just want to get through fast, right? Owls would read slower to understand the nuances, to get all of the facts, compare it to what they already know. Dolphins, when they read, they'll visualize what they read. They'll picture, because a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? An elephant would read for empathy, to understand where the author is coming from, to understand the different points of view. And they communicate differently also. You would notice that a cheetah speaks rather rapidly, very action-oriented words, doesn't want to beat around the bush, right? Because speed is everything. An owl would speak more in data and facts, give you evidence, very organized way of speaking. A dolphin would speak more visionary, right? Talking pictures even, and have a lot of passion behind that vision. And then elephants would communicate in a way that's driven by empathy. They want people to feel seen. They want people to feel heard, right? They'll want to understand different points of view. They'll try to come to some kind of consensus often. So this affects your parenting. This affects your hiring, the managing of those individuals, and your leading and your ability to learn faster also as well. So let's think of famous examples, right? Like, it's interesting. We had our whole team take this assessment, and our customer service team, they were 100%. What animal would you guess? Customer service. Elephant. High levels of empathy, understanding, compassion, right? Your success is their success. Community builders also as well. You know, our financial individual, like on the team, is an owl. And that makes sense, right? Because you would go into a job or a position or a role that would exhibit your expressive strengths, right? So an owl loves numbers. You know, a creative person probably wouldn't find a home dealing with like the finances part, maybe, right? Our CEO, Alexis, who's here, you know, for 17 years we've been business partners. She's a dolphin. She has a vision for our future, a vision for the team, a vision to positively impact 1 billion brains, right? No brain left behind. So it's interesting once you know you're a brain animal, how everything gets easier. And so when you go to this link, You could take this 4-minute quiz, and we're going to give you a roadmap, just like personalized medicine, personalized nutrition, specifically a personalized learning guide based on your animal. Now, the question people always ask is, does your animal change? It's just like you use your, if you use your dominant hand, it doesn't mean you don't use your non-dominant hand. So you usually have a primary and a secondary, but it certainly can change because this amazing thing called neuroplasticity, right? Our brain's ability to change and adapt, it's incredibly malleable based on new training, new learnings, and what increases neuroplasticity, two things, novelty and nutrition. You think about how if you were to work out your body, you give it novelty, you work it out, and then you give it proper nutrition, which could help a lot. But to answer your questions on how to better focus, you want to focus based on your brain type. You want to focus, based, if you're a cheetah, cheetahs focus different than elephants. Does that make sense? They remember things. They would remember names. A creative would visualize a person's name, right? An owl would make a logical association with that person's name, like they know somebody with that name, right? Or if a person's name happens to be, something that they can relate to, or someone they're related to. Somebody like an elephant would take more time and empathy and understand why it's important for people to have their name remembered, right? Ask probing questions, ask about a person's name. What does it mean? How do you spell it? What's the origin of that name? So there's no one thing, there's no magic pill, but there's definitely a process. So what I'm going to walk you through is a quick process that's going to help you level up your learning by improving the supercomputer between your ears called your brain. So I want everyone to take a deep breath, exhale. And I just want to walk you through a visualization exercise. I'm going to share with you a 2,500-year-old memory technique from ancient Greece because the book Limitless is based on not only the latest neuroscience, we have a whole new chapter in there on nootropics and how to, like certain substances that could dramatically improve focus, memory. Anyone experiment with nootropics? It could change your mood, give you more mental energy, and everything that we talk about in here is highly referenced, science, human studies, and so you'll see that there. So what we're going to do is I'm going to walk you through an exercise. Close your eyes to help you focus. I'm going to share with you 10 quick things that could level up your brain health, all right, to take care of this supercomputer. I'm in my 50s, I lost my grandmother to Alzheimer's. I had 3 traumatic brain injuries as a child. I had learning disabilities, focus issues, but these are the things I lean into. So I'm going to walk you through my office. It's in Westchester, New York. I want you to imagine you're taking a plane to Westchester Airport, and I'm going to talk to you about 10 places in my office as if you're coming to attend a speed reading class, all right? And so at these 10 places, I'm going to share with you the 10 tips for a limitless brain. All right, so imagine the car picks you up. We're in suburbia. There are lots of trees. We go to a big glass building, and the first place is the parking lot. Now, I want to engage your verbal memory. What's the first place? Say it out loud. Parking lot. And when you get out, the first brain tip is a good brain diet. All right, because what you eat matters, especially for your gray matter. We have a whole chapter in this book on neuronutrition, which is the science of foods that are good for your brain, very neuroprotective. So I just want you to imagine that there's a big buffet of good brain food waiting for you, and you're going to put it all over your body. All right, you're going to put avocados on your scalp as a conditioner. Just even if you can't imagine it, imagine you can imagine it. I want you to imagine blueberries coming out of your nose, very neuroprotective, right? I call them brain berries. Broccoli, the sulforaphane in broccoli, it's good for cognitive health. Imagine a big piece of broccoli stuck in your teeth with your eyes closed. Taste what that tastes like. Your ears, you're cleaning them with olive oil. So imagine you're putting olive oil and cleaning your ears, right? And if your diet allows eggs, the choline in eggs is a precursor for acetylcholine, which is a neurotransmitter that's really good for cognitive performance. All right, so imagine an egg stuck in your throat. All right. Now, those are 5 foods. I'm going to see if you're going to remember it later, but we're going to go to the classroom. So there's a waterfall, it creates a moat around the building, so you have to cross a bridge. And as you're crossing the bridge, you're stepping on ants. Ants. You're stepping on ants. And that's to remind you of the second brain tip. ANT stands for automatic negative thoughts. You want to crush those automatic negative thoughts. So someone just came to me right before I got on stage saying, Jim, I'm glad you're here. You're a memory coach. I have a horrible memory. And I was like, stop. If you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. Your brain is this incredible supercomputer, and your self-talk is a program it will run. So if you tell yourself, I'm not good at remembering names, you won't remember the name of the next person here because you program your supercomputer not to. So just step on those ants. You get into the building, the third place you walk into is the elevator. What's the third place? Say it out loud. Elevator. And the third brain tip, exercise. So physical exercise is good for your brain. It helps you to create dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, these neurotransmitters for cognitive performance. When you exercise, you create brain-derived neurotropic factors, BDNF, which is like fertilizer for neuroplasticity. So I want you to imagine your favorite exercise, your trainer, in the elevator, and you're breaking a sweat there. From there, you walk out. The fourth place is the hallway. What's the fourth place? Hallway. And I want you to imagine nootropics all over the hallway. I want you to see the lion's mane, the creatine, the bacopa, the ginkgo. Just you're stepping on lots of bottles. You're jumping over bottles of nootropics. All right? From there, you open the door to the class. Immediately to the left of our office is a closet. The fifth place is a closet. What's the fifth place? And inside, the fifth tip, positive peer group. Who you spend time with is who you become. Right? If you're isolated and you're lonely, that could affect not only your mental health, but your performance. We are the average of the 5 people we spend time with, right? Because we have these mirror neurons, and we're constantly imitating the people around us. We're using their words, their actions, their thoughts. We're modeling their character, their habits. Like whether or not you smoke has less to do with your neurological networks and whether your friends smoke, or do yoga, or eat a certain diet, right? So positive peer group. From there, you go to the 6th place, the receptionist. What's the 6th place? Say it out loud. And the receptionist is cleaning the environment. The brain thrives in an organized environment because it takes energy to remember where everything is. So your external world is a reflection of your internal world. Also clean environment is clean air, clean water, good source of lights, right? Low EMFs, clean environment. From there, behind the receptionist is the 7th place, which is a fish tank. What's the 7th place? Fish tank. And I want you to remember sleep, right? When you sleep, your brain, the sewage system kicks in. You consolidate short to long-term memory. You dream, which we talked about the power of dreaming and the inventions that you create. So imagine the fish are all sleeping, right? Nemo and Dory, they're in their pajamas. I want you to imagine they're in their bunk beds. They're snoring. I mean, build it out, all right? Favorite sleep tip, get direct sunlight first thing in the morning, all right? Your eyes are the only part of your brain outside your skull. It helps to reset your circadian rhythm. Also, colder, darker, off your devices, right? Sleep. Number 8, you're going to the classroom. The door is locked, but the door to the classroom is the next place. What's the 8th place? Classroom door. So you put on a helmet, and you headbutt it open and it shatters, but the helmet reminds you brain protection. I mentioned I had 3 TBIs, traumatic brain injuries. Protect your brain, because it's very resilient, but it's very fragile. From there, up front is a whiteboard. The 9th place is the whiteboard. What's the 9th place? Whiteboard. And I want you to imagine I'm there, and I'm writing 2 words in your favorite color marker. What's your favorite color? Say it out loud. Red. Great. And I'm writing the words new learnings. Your brain, remember, it stretches neuroplasticity, it makes new connections with novelty. So always be learning. My favorite thing to do is read, right? Reading is to your mind what exercise is to your body. It'll help you to live longer. There's a study called Aging with Grace with nuns living 80, 90 above. They found out that their long life part of it was their faith, their gratitude. The other half, they were lifelong learners, all right? And finally, on the side of our office, the classroom, are all these bonsai trees. What's the 10th place? Bonsai. And 10th thing, stress management. So whatever you do to reduce stress, do it on the bonsai trees. Imagine you're getting body work or doing a sound bath on the bonsai trees. You're meditating on the bonsai trees, all right? Stand up, everybody. Stand up. Now, The best way to learn something is by teaching it to somebody else. They call it the explanation effect. When you explain it, you get to learn it twice, all right? So now I want you to imagine you are teaching your friends, or maybe you're giving a TEDx talk next week. You're on stage, and you don't need a teleprompter, right? You don't need notes. You don't need a power presentation. You're just going to walk through my office and remember the 10 points. You get to the parking lot, it reminds you of what? Say it out loud. What are you eating? Good. A good brain diet. What's on top of your head? Blueberries, broccoli, eggs. When you understand how your memory works, you can work your memory. You cross the bridge, you're stepping on what? Killing those automatic negative thoughts. You open the door, you go inside into the elevator. What's it remind you of? Exercise. As your body moves, your brain grooves. You go into the hallway, you're tripping on what? You're in the tropics. Very good. You open the door to the office, immediately to the left is a closet. Who's in the closet? All your happy friends are in the closet, all right? From there, you check in with the receptionist. But what's the receptionist doing? Cleaning the environment. Have that clean environment. You go from behind the receptionist is the fish tank, and all the fish are? Optimize your sleep, right? The door is locked. You put on a brain protection. You protect your brain. Immediately up front on the whiteboard, I'm writing 2 words. They are new learnings. And finally, on the bonsai trees, it reminds you what? Meditate, stress management. Give yourselves a round of applause. So the idea here is this. When you understand how your brain works, you could work your brain so much better. I want to just remind you the last thing is this. Take the quiz, post your animal, tag me in it, tag the organization in it also as well so we see it. I'll repost some of our favorites. I'll send out a couple of books to random people just as a thank you for showing up today for us. And I want to remind you there's a version of yourself. And that person is patiently waiting. And so my recommendation, keep showing up every single day until you're introduced. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.